You ever stop and wonder what really separates the truly great leaders and companies from, well, everyone else? Today, we're jumping right into Simon Sinek's massive idea, Start with Why. It's this incredible framework that completely breaks down how the most influential people in organizations in the world actually think, act, and communicate.
All right, so let's get right into it with a question Simek himself loves to ask. What do these three all have in common? I mean, sure, they were all pioneers, right? But there's something way deeper going on. They all operated in a way that was the complete opposite of how everybody else does things. And trust me, by the time we're done here, you're going to know exactly what that is.
Okay, so before we get to the big solution, we kind of have to understand the world we're all living in. And for the most part, it's a world that does not start with why. It's a world driven by what Sinek calls carrots and sticks. All those everyday manipulations that are constantly shaping our decisions.
Sinek says there are really only two ways to influence human behavior. You can either manipulate it or you can inspire it. Now, manipulation sounds kind of sinister, but it's not always. It's just short-term tactics to get a quick result, like a single sale. Inspiration, though, that's what builds real, lasting loyalty.
And these manipulations? Oh man, they are everywhere. Think about it. Price drops, 2-for-1 deals, all those fear-based ads like buy now before it's too late, or those aspirational messages that promise you the perfect life if you just buy this one thing. They all work, yeah? But just to get us to do something once, they don't earn our trust. And here's a wild example of this in action, especially with this idea of novelty. Back in the 70s, Colgate had like 2 kinds of toothpaste. Simple. Today, they have 32. 32. Has all that so-called innovation built some kind of fierce, undying loyalty, or has it just made it completely overwhelming to pick a toothpaste? It's a perfect case of a company totally focused on the what, not the why.
So this is the really crucial point he makes. Manipulations might get you repeat business. People who buy from you over and over and maybe out of habit. But loyalty? Loyalty is a totally different ballgame. That's when people are willing to turn down a better product or even a better price just to keep doing business with you.
Okay, so if manipulation isn't the way to build loyalty, then what is? Well, that brings us right to Sinek's beautifully simple idea, the golden circle.
And here it is, the golden circle. It's so simple, right? It's a framework that literally shows how inspiring leaders think, from the inside out. At the very heart of it is the why. Then comes the how, and finally, on the very outside, is the what. The why. This is the absolute core. This is not about making money. That's just a result, right? Your why is your purpose. It's your cause. It's the belief that drives you. It's the very reason your organization even exists. For the Wright brothers, for example, their why was a deep belief that if they could figure out manned flight, it would change the course of the world.
Next up is the how. The hows are the specific things you do to bring that why to life. These are your guiding principles, your unique processes, the actions that make you special. For a company like Apple, their how is their obsession with beautiful design and simple, user-friendly interfaces.
And finally, we've got the what. This is the easy part. These are your products, your services, the actual, tangible things you sell. And look, every single company on the planet knows what they do. But for those truly inspiring organizations, the what is just the proof. It's the tangible evidence of their why.
And right here, this is the game changer. Most companies, most people, they communicate from the outside in. They start with what they do, and they hope you'll buy in. But the great ones, they flip that entire model on its head. They start from the inside out. They start by telling you why.
Okay, so let's make this super clear with the example Sinek is famous for, Apple.
So if Apple communicated like pretty much everyone else, starting with their what, their marketing would sound something like this. It's fine. It's factual, it's clear, but let's be honest, it's totally uninspiring, right? It doesn't give you any reason to really care.
But now, listen to how Apple actually communicates. They start with their why, their core belief in challenging the status quo and thinking differently. The computer, that's just one of the things they happen to make to prove their belief. All of a sudden, buying a computer isn't just a transaction. It's a statement about who you are.
I want you to really let this sink in, because this is the single most important takeaway from this whole idea. People don't buy what you do. They buy why you do it. The product just becomes a symbol of a shared belief.
Now you might be thinking, okay, that's a clever marketing trick. But Sinek argues this isn't just an opinion. The power of the golden circle is actually hardwired into the biology of the human brain.
To put it simply, your brain is literally built for why. It's not psychology, it's physiology.
Just take a look at this. The golden circle lines up perfectly with how our brain is structured. That outer layer, the what, corresponds to our neocortex. That's the part that handles all our rational thought and language. But the why and the how? They speak directly to our limbic brain, which is responsible for all our feelings, trust, loyalty, and critically, all human behavior and decision-making.
This explains gut feelings. When a decision just feels right, it's your limbic brain doing the work. It drives our behavior, but here's the catch. It has no capacity for language. That's why we can feel a decision is right, even if we can't quite put it into words yet. When you communicate with why, you're talking directly to the decision-making part of the brain.
So, after all this, the most important question isn't really about these big companies or famous leaders. It's about you. Let's bring this all home.
We keep coming back to this fundamental difference, right? Are you building something based on transactions, or are you building it on loyalty? The only real path to that genuine loyalty, the kind that can weather any storm, is through a clear, consistent why.
And that leaves us with one final and pretty big question. Whether it's for your company, your team, or maybe just for yourself, what's your why? Because that's the starting point for everything that matters.